Hi and welcome to the Cult TV Sofa. This is a reaction video for the third episode of Season 3 of Babylon 5 called A Day in the Strife. You can now see the full reaction for this video on my Patreon channel, along with lots of other goodies. Links in the description below. Last time we saw a bomber on the station who was detonating bombs and killing random people. An order of monks came to the station to stay. They wanted to talk to people about their religions when they came through Babylon 5 to save them having to go to each individual planet. The monks helped pay their way by watching hours of video footage of the bombing's aftermath to see if anyone was at each site watching, as they'd likely be the bomber, also their suspect. A bomb went off, trapping Jakar and Londo in one of the elevators. Jakar refused to help Londo escape, so that he would not die at his hands, to save any Centauri repercussions on Jakar's people or family, even though it meant that he might die as well. The monks found the identity of the bomber, who was an engineer on the station. Sheridan went into the bomber's quarters to keep him busy, whilst Garibaldi and his men searched for the final big bomb that had been planted. The bomb was found on the fusion reactor, and they managed to get it away from the station, where it exploded, whilst Sheridan fought for the bomb control and subdued the bomber. Jakar and Londo were rescued, much to the delight of Londo and dismay of Jakar. So let's see what happens in this episode. I'm going to put any relevant trivia that I find over here, and at the end of the reaction I will be discussing what happened and my thoughts about it. And I'm going to start it in 3, 2, 1.
We've been sitting here for over an hour. Is there a problem?
We've instituted new policies to screen for weapons. It's slowing down processing.
They've had a few incidents recently with the bombings last week. Makes sense. Ooh.
We have some order here, please.
I'm saying no.
We project delays of no more than 10 to 15%.
Oh, that sounds like it might be a bit too much for them.
Weapons make you a big man, don't they, Sheridan? You're pretty brave sitting up there with armed guards on either side. All we got is what we got.
Armed guards who let people with weapons into the room.
Without a gun to back you up, you got nothing.
Not helping his argument at the moment. That is. Put your money where your mouth is.
All I've got is what I've got. Anything happens to me, everyone gets an instant promotion.
True. If one of us in the back saying, let him off.
I was just talking. I didn't mean nothing.
Well, that's going to have helped diffuse things a bit. So he took the wind out of his sails.
That was grade A stupid. I mean, what if the guy would have gone for it?
He took the
What's that?
Energy cap.
right.
I palmed it when I shoved the gun in it.
I saw him take it out of his pocket when he walked back, so he couldn't have fired anything if he wanted to.
I've just arrived and wanted to check in with you. I'm here to replace Citizen Jakar.
Well, he is Citizen Jakar now. He's not been involved in the council or anything, so it's going to happen at some stage. The only real problem is Jakar going to lose his quarters? Are those they would be ambassadorial quarters, and in the ambassador sector. So yeah, he'd have to move. Surprised he hasn't moved already. I would have thought Londo would have insisted on it. So is this new ambassador going to be a friend to the station and the Narn people, or is he a puppet for the Centauri? I think I probably know the answer if he's been assigned that position. He's probably a puppet.
But unfortunately, he remains in a position of authority with our people here.
Yes.
Using his influence to create an armed resistance back home. We must cool things down. The time for action will come later.
Doesn't sound like a Narn.
And to ask for your assistance in returning Citizen Jakar.
Well, he's been given sanctuary.
Oh, you look whacked.
20 hours without a break, usual.
That's a long day. He shouldn't. in his position, he shouldn't be working those kind of hours all the time.
Right now, what I need to do is
Need to sleep.
Dr. Kobayama just called in sick. Says he can't take the next shift. Can you sit in for a while?
I'll be there.
And if he's going like that, he's going to be off sick as well.
Did I ever tell you I looked through the captain's personnel file?
Michael, that information is strictly off limits.
I did it when he first came aboard. I like to know who I'm dealing with.
I can understand him doing that, actually.
Now, you ask me, he's the one chance we've got to make it through this thing alive.
Get on board, he seems on board with
Did you
him.
look through my files when I came on board?
That information is strictly off limits.
That'll be a yes.
Go ask that little lady to dance after all, so you watch my back, Michael. I'm going there.
That was a bit of a change, which he seems to have noticed as well.
I couldn't really get a good look at it the last time I was in the area.
Oh. Yeah, we know when that was.
The work farms, the relocation camps are all operating at capacity.
I know we've talked about Londo getting sucked into things and trapped in decisions that he can't now get out of, and that he feels bad about what happened. But that was just cruel, and that was all him. He didn't have to say that. That was a really horrible thing to say to Hanan, and that was completely him.
The executions continue.
Progress. It's a beautiful thing to behold, no fear.
Was that necessary?
No.
They still have their pride. As long as it remains, they will always be a threat.
Well, that was risky saying that to him then. He could have attacked Londo.
I don't want our people to go through this again in another 100 years. Nothing personal.
Wiping out a load of a population and then breaking them's nothing personal.
Looks like we've got a first contact situation, Captain.
Well, that was like a weapon. It's like a big laser.
Weapons? None that I can tell. A science probe of some kind.
It's not my first thought.
Just the same pattern of signals repeated over and over.
Probably sending us their alphabet and language codes.
So he said it's probably sending its alphabet and language codes. So it would be transmitting its basic structure for its language so that either the people or a computer system can break it down so that when so they can actually have a conversation. I think we did a similar thing on the Voyager probes. We put information in there about our language and obviously culture as well, but specifically about the language and things, so that people could understand what we've sent out.
I feel sometimes as though I have lost a friend.
You've lost more than that.
Much more than a friend, Ambassador. But that is between you and whatever gods you
Oh.
You said that if I ever needed a favor,
Ooh.
I had only to ask.
What's the favour?
The Centauri diplomatic mission to your homeworld, I think that Veer would be the perfect replacement. He keeps to himself. He wouldn't even spy on your government.
And that's true as well.
What you ask is not impossible.
And it's something that she would probably grant out of all the requests he'd make.
I have some concerns about his development.
Wants to keep him safe.
Well, he would be better off away from here.
Away from you.
So why the sudden invitation to dinner?
What, I can't make a little extra pasta?
That's a lot of pasta on the plates. There's tons on there. It's always a nightmare, isn't it? Gauge how much pasta you need to cook. You always cook too much.
And the reason we're both good at what we do is because we're obsessive compulsive.
And he's cut it up. You don't do that. You spit it around the fork.
This is a glass of water. The reason it's a glass of water and
Because he's alcoholic. He recognised the signs.
a drink, or dice, or stims.
You're crazy, Michael. I don't have a problem.
We've seen him do it before. Take stims, which are a stimulant, something that boosts his body. If he's tired, it'll give him an adrenaline boost, and it'll allow him to carry on. without feeling too tired. Which obviously the hours he's doing, he's taking too many. We saw what happened. He was absolutely shattered. He went to the bathroom, came back, and he was all happy and ready to go because he'd obviously taken a stimulant in the bathroom. Garibaldi's, seems to have recognised it's a problem. So
Stims are perfectly legal, used by prescription in moderation.
so's alcohol.
No, I have to be alert and I have to be focused or people die. It's that simple.
You're gonna die if you keep going like that.
But I've checked your logs. You pull shifts you don't have to.
You've been checking up on me, huh? Thought you were my friend.
He is. That's why he's checking him.
I don't have a problem, okay? But if it makes you happy, I'll cut back on the stims because it's not a big deal.
That sounds like an addict speaking.
It's good to see you again.
And you. Last I heard, after we broke out of that Strife ship and got back, you'd been sent off to some hospital on Narn.
Oh, so yeah, there was that ship that was taking people from different races, and it captured the captain, and he had to fight people, and he was on the ship, and they escaped together. So they got a bit of a bond, really, and they still seem to, the Narns certainly seems to have fondness for him. There's a bond there.
Sometimes I do not know who I'm protecting him against. Outsiders or...
Your own people. That's nice to see. When there's so many problems going on with all different races, it's nice to see them getting on like that.
Apparently, it's some form of intelligence test to determine if we're sufficiently intelligent for contact.
So what do we get if we pass?
Cures for every known form of disease. It says that if we don't provide all the correct answers within 24 hours, the probe will self-destruct with enough to vaporize the entire station.
Why? Answer our questions to show how good you are and we'll give you the cure to all disease. Or don't answer them and we'll blow you up. That doesn't really make sense. Plus, it's a space station. I mean, so they've got to have a reasonable level of technology. Why would you... that's just weird.
About those questions it wants us to answer. How many are we looking at?
Just over 600.
That's a lot.
I don't understand. I mean, why would they want to destroy us if we can't answer all of their questions?
Yeah.
The probe finds worthy candidates and eliminates those it considers less evolved.
But that makes no sense. It's going to take out a space station. It's in orbit of a planet. What if the planet was full of all the people, this population of a certain species? They had a space station in orbit. This thing comes along and blows up the space station. You still have all the people on the planet. That's pointless. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to take out people who are less intelligent. It's going to take out a few people. It's not. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Many of our people are starving, Jakar. Starving because the roads have been mined.
Roads been mined.
What does it matter where the food comes from? It keeps our people alive. It matters. You don't appreciate the damage you're causing our people back home by leading this resistance.
I can see both sides. I can see the new ambassador's side. Jakar's here on the station. He can't see what's happening on the home world, although I'm sure he knows. But yeah, people are dying, struggling to get food, and partly because of the things that Jakar's doing. But Jakar's is looking at the bigger picture and trying to save his people. I can't understand that. Obviously, been in that situation. Yeah. He's looking at the short term. He's looking at the long term.
Postpone the fight. Just for a little while. And come back with me.
He'll be killed. They'll kill him.
I have it on very good authority that you will not be harmed.
Oh, yeah, right.
Who will lead our people here?
I will. You do not come back with me. The Centauri will begin harassing their families back home.
I'm trying to decide if he's a puppet of the Centauri or a collaborator, and I'm not sure.
I was wondering if you've heard back from Earth on those medical questions. I haven't been able to check back. I've been a little busy around here.
Doctor, if we don't get those answers on molecular biology...
Yeah, boom, station blows up. That should be the priority. He stopped.
You have been promoted. You will earn more money, receive more attention. Women may even come to find you attractive.
Oh.
If I leave, you will be alone. I have always been alone.
No, you haven't. Via knows it's not good for him to be on his own.
To be their pet, their messenger, their puppet.
I think a bit more.
My pouch brother has been arrested. I'm told he will be released when Jakar returns home.
So they've already taken them, they've already got the leverage.
Have I taught you no better than this? Look at yourselves! We're at each other's throats! I won't allow the Centauri to use me.
He'll hand himself in. He can see that if he doesn't, he'll be doing the job for the Centauri himself, just by the problems it would cause. And the infighting.
I've got the Transport Pilots Association on the link again.
It's got a few things on at the moment.
How long before that probe detonates?
6 hours.
Tell them we'll reconvene in 7 hours.
Always finding the good in every situation, eh, Captain?
Absolutely. If I didn't, I might end up like you.
Oh.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Did you hear that?
No, Commander.
I swear, if we live through this, somebody's gonna find their automatic shower preferences reprogrammed for ice water.
That's quite cool. So yeah, you can set preferences for water and stuff in the shower, and I assume lots of other things as well. So that if ever you go somewhere, let's say you move quarters or I don't know, go on holiday somewhere, you could probably take your preferences file with you, and then just upload it, or just say computer load my preferences, and it would everything would be set the way you like it. Light levels, yeah, water temp. That's quite cool. I suppose we can kind of do that now to a certain extent. I think I don't think we're far off completely having that.
If you go back, the Centauri will kill you.
Yep.
If I didn't know better, I might think you were genuinely concerned.
He is. You can see it on his face.
Thank you for your concern, Mr. Garibaldi. Good night.
He knows he's got friends at least now on the station.
And we've been able to track down most of the data you asked for.
Most.
But you've got the rest of the data.
No, the rest don't matter unless you have all of them.
Now you get on it, and you get on it now!
So he was harsh, and it's obviously the effects of the stims that are causing it. But that doctor didn't seem to appreciate the urgency of the situation. Yeah, they need the answers to all the questions, or they're all going to die in a horrible big explosion. She didn't seem to be getting that, so to be slightly fair, that was kind of warranted. He is now.
Citizen Jakar has said the things you want to hear.
I'm here to tell you all the things you don't want to hear.
I can help you work within the system imposed upon us to rebuild Nam.
Does he really believe that's going to happen?
For what can be more important than their safety?
Freedom?
What if it's a berserker? A probe sent out to find life forms advanced enough to pose a threat to the race that created it.
And then it blows up.
Or it could be exactly what it said. 15 seconds.
Ugh. That's a hell of a decision to have to make.
No send.
Oh boy.
But again, this comes back to what I said earlier. It's just the space station. There's still all the entire species out there. It doesn't do anything, blowing them up. In fact, it does the opposite. What it does is takes out the station. They've been sending communications out to all different people trying to get the answers to the questions. If it does blow up, they're then going to, the people on Earth or whatever, going to start looking for who did this. So it actually has the reverse effect. That seems very weird.
Relay those answers to the bot, move it toward the probe, and have it stand by to transmit.
Haha. Use it as a relay so it'll blow up the bot, basically.
Probe is at 3,000 clicks.
It can't be very intelligent if it lets that happen.
Stand by. Stand by.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
Transmit.
Feels like had the power to blow up an entire planet. Fair enough, but
Send out a recovery team to pick up the debris for study. I think he survived.
Right.
Swings and roundabouts.
Which means now I have to go back to that stupid Transport Association meeting.
Too late.
I lived through this job.
He's getting a lot more mouthy than he used to be, which is a good
A
thing.
miracle of biblical proportions.
There goes my faith in the Almighty.
Yeah.
We cannot let you go, Jakar. The only way out is through.
Wow, that's a tough decision
It's
to make.
better to
though.
die in the cause of freedom than to live in comfort as a slave. We understand this, and our families understand this.
That's a pretty powerful line.
I carry my sword in my hand. You carry yours in your heart and in your mind. That gives you a 2-to-1 advantage in arms.
It would be nice for that to be the norm, and then sometimes have some
really
things
want to
happen,
live
but
safe,
you don't want
predictable, easy?
chaos all the time.
Sometimes.
There's
where's
always
the,
something.
Captain and Donovan. Don't ask.
No, he is leaving. He's done it to protect him, but now, yeah, Londo's on his own. He hasn't got that little voice on his shoulder speaking to him. That's not going to be good. It was a good episode. Obviously, seeing the Jakar side. Yeah, his people showing him that even though their families are now at risk, they know they need him to be there, to be the voice of the resistance for the future freedom of their people. So he's looking at the long term. In the short term, people are going to die, but they're willing to take that risk for the future of their people. That's such a big thing. It's hard to even contemplate, really. But he's also seen that now, so that's going to give him a bit of a boost in some ways, to know that his people back him so much. What's going to happen with that ambassador? Yeah, because he really is a puppet for the Centauri. But he is the official ambassador on the station now, so interesting to see what happens there. That probe story, the second sort of storyline, really just didn't make sense for the reasons I've said. What if it had met a ship? I'm assuming the same thing would have happened. It would just have blown up the ship if they'd sent the answers. But so you still got the entire population. It doesn't do anything. It just takes out a few people. It seems really pointless. So the only way it would do what they seem to have planned it to do, is if it could destroy an entire planet. But even then, a species that's likely to be able to answer all those questions and is super intelligent, I would have thought more than likely have expanded into the stars, and they'll be on multiple planets, they'll have colonies and things. So again, even taking out one planet doesn't really do anything. Unless they take out, maybe when it explodes, maybe it transmits information back to its home world to say, I've detonated, I found a species, I've blown up. Maybe then they send a fleet of ships to finish the job or to back things up, in which case that's not good for Babylon 5 because it just blew up and they transmitted the answers. And they didn't transmit all the answers, they didn't have all of them, I think they said. So it's not like they even had to have the answer to every single question, just a lot of them, and it still blew up. So yeah, it's a weird storyline that just didn't make sense. From the species who sent it out's point of view, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't do what they planned it to do. But yeah, and Via's gone. Conscience, that's the word I was looking for. Via is kind of Londo's conscience, and now that he's gone, so yeah, what are the repercussions going to be for that? But Londo did it to keep Via safe. Yeah, I think sending him to Minbar is probably the safest place you could send him. He's going to be safe there. And Via is actually the right person probably to send there, because he's right, he is inoffensive and he wouldn't spy on them. So I don't know, he just came out and said that, but it's true. So yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, so let me know what you thought about this one in the comments below, and I shall see you for the next episode. Be seeing you.